It's funny. I was just watching one of the Grady Judd videos where he shows the picture of the criminals and he talks about the criminal. And I guess they went to serve a warrant out in the woods on a guy. And one of the deputies had their canine with her. And the guy told him he had a gun and he was going to shoot. And I guess he opened fire on him and he shot the canine in the shoulder and broke his bone and hit an artery and did some things. And the lady rushed the canine away and rushed out of the woods and called Lifeline, and they flew the canine to a veterinary clinic and transferred it to the hospital. And all the doctors were rushing to fix the canine and set his bone and do surgery and do all these things. And then the doctors were saying that, you don't have to pay. We'll take care of it. And then people in the community come rushing out, trying to gather up money to pay for the canine, pay for the surgery, do this, do that. And if something happens, we'll get you another dog because you need that canine and all this. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying, but it's a good thing. And the canine was, an officer as far as I'm concerned, and they were trying to rush the officer and save the officer's life. And he was doing a service and he was brave and he got hurt in the line of his duties. And everyone come out of the woodwork to save the canine, So don't hear what I'm not saying, but it's funny to me that I was working in Chicago and I crushed my hand in a hydraulic bed. So I gather things up the best I can in shock because my hand's crushed. Broke 3 bones, crushed it, messed up all the meat, bunch of nerves. And I gather up some things and I drive myself to the hospital. And I go into the emergency room and they're give me a shot of morphine and they're going to take care of me and they're moving me upstairs and all this from the emergency room upstairs. And then a lady comes in there and she goes, hey, do you got, what's your name, this, that, and other, she's kind of checking me in, like the administrative part of it where they ask you for your insurance and all this. And I just told her, I said, I just started this job, about 5 or 6 months ago, started working for myself. And so if I was going to keep my medical insurance, I would have had to pay like $1,900 a month because I didn't work for that company anymore. And I couldn't really afford that. And I thought, well, for right now, I'm just going to have to deal with it. I'm trying to start this business or whatever. So I don't have insurance, But I don't expect anybody to do anything for free. I don't work for free. I don't want anybody else to work for free. I mean, if you'll take care of me, I'm going to pay the bill. You send me a bill, and I know it's going to be astronomical, but I'm going to make payments. I'm going to pay it. I'll take care of it. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. And from that moment on, it was, hey, we're putting a splint on this. There's not really anything we can do. We've done what we can do. You need to follow up with a orthopedic doctor because you're going to have those bones pinned and all that, or you're going to lose use of your hand. And it's not something that we can do at a level 4 trauma hospital in Chicago to pin bones back together and do stuff like that. And you're sitting there thinking, really? People come in here with gunshots and you patch them up, put them back together. You do all these this is like a level 4 trauma center or something, a level 3, level 4 trauma center. You got doctors everywhere running around doing surgery stuff and you can't. I come here thinking y'all are going to help me, And next thing I know, they're kind of ushering me out the door. And I'm high on morphine. I got nobody there. I don't know anybody. And I even told them, I don't know anybody here. I don't know doctors here. I don't know anything here. My hand's like crushed. I'm kind of in shock here. I'm high on morphine. What am I doing? And then I wake up in a rest area 250 miles away in the truck that I was supposed to be transporting with my truck hooked onto the back of it. I don't really know how I got there because I was high on pain medicine. They morphined me up and just ushered me out the door. And I'm sitting there thinking, wow. But I woke up in that rest area with my hand throbbing to the beat of my heart. And I'm still kind of in shock going, man, what am I going to do? So I run the truck on over there, delivered it, unhooked everything one-handed the best I could, got a little help, thrown my stuff in there, and I drive back to Little Rock. I get all the way from Tennessee back to Little Rock. And I go to Baptist Health thinking, man, maybe they'll help me. Their hospital, I've got to do something about this. They told me, I remember my order saying, man, I need to get a surgeon because I'm going to lose the use of my hand. So I go in there and they go, well, we don't really have a surgeon here, but we'll refer you to Arkansas Ortho. So I'm like, okay. They said they have a emergency clinic there, like an urgent care type clinic, and they have surgeons and stuff there. Go there. So I go there. I walk in. I'm trying to fill out paperwork one-handed. My hand's throbbing. I'm in a lot of pain. Still kind of in shock, Still kind of in shock, like kind of out of it. And I'm like, fill out the paperwork. I give them a bank card. They charge me $388. I go back there. They take like 3 x-rays. I give them the disc from the emergency room where they took like 3 x-rays. And I see a physician's assistant, and she says, you got to come back Monday and see the surgeon. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. So I drive all the way to Little Rock from Fayetteville. I go home, and I'm sitting there all weekend hurting, trying to figure things out. Going, well, they've seen my x-rays, so they're doctors, whatever. So I go back the Monday to see the surgeon, and I go in there to check in. They go, it'd be $388 or $382 or whatever. And I'm pulling my card out going, okay. And I just told the lady, I said, okay, well, I'm going to pay this, but and I don't have a problem with that. I'm going to pay, but I need to get surgery, and I don't have insurance. You're asking me for an insurance card, and I don't have insurance. So I'm going to have to make payments on this surgery, but I'd like to use my hand. I'd like for it to work again, because I use my hands at work, and like everybody needs both hands. I've realized even over the weekend how much you need 2 hands to do anything, like button your pants, button your belt, go to the bathroom, wipe your butt. I got to have both my hands broken over here, so let's do something here. And the lady's like, well, if you can't afford to hardly pay the office visits, how are you going to pay for a surgery that's probably $20,000? And I'm like, well, I'll have to make payments on it. She goes, well, we don't do that. You got to pay for your services at the time they're rendered. And I said, well, how are you going to know how much the surgery is until you finish it? And she goes, well, we have an estimate, and you pay that. Then if it's more, you owe more. But if it's less, you would get a refund. And I was like, oh, well, okay, well, I don't have that. And she goes, well, there's nothing we can really do then. So I leave there, and I'm kind of depressed now going, shit, what do I do, So I'm driving from Little Rock all the way back to Springdale over there close to where I live in Tawnytown. And I'm like, they're in Arkansas, and I'm like, hey, my wife says, go to the emergency room. And I'm like, okay. So I go to Washington Regional, and I go in there, and they say, hey, what I told them up front, I don't have insurance. This is what I've already been through. It's been a week now. I'm still freaking hurting. My hand's still swollen all up. And everyone's telling me, and I've seen these x-rays, the bones are displaced. They're not going to heal correctly without surgery. I can't even bend barely the tips of my fingers, and I'm in excruciating pain. And the lady's like, no, fill out this paperwork, and we'll take care of it. We're going to help you. Don't worry about it. That's what we do. We'll help you out. We'll send you a bill. It's not a big deal. Don't worry. And I'm like, okay, finally, I found somebody that's going to help me. So they take some more x-rays, do all this. They split my hand up. She had sent pictures and stuff over to the surgeon that works at, I guess, the Ozark Orthopedics or whatever. He was in surgery at the time that I went to the emergency room, so she couldn't physically see him or have him come talk to me. But she said, call his office in the morning. They'll set you up an appointment, and you can go in there and don't worry, they'll take care of things. They'll let you make payments. And I was like, okay. So finally, and they gave me some pain medicine. I'm like, good, I'm going to get a little relief from the pain. So I leave there, and the next morning I call their office. I guess the lady said, well, I'll pull the x-rays from the hospital, get everything going, and we'll have the doctor get a hold of you, or we'll call you back and get an appointment. So they call me back in the afternoon, and the lady says, come in August the 5th to see the surgeon. And I'm like, lady, that's 2 weeks from now. I don't know how this works, but I've already been through this for a week and a half now. So 2 more weeks, we're 3.5 weeks into this. The bones are healing wrong. If they have to do surgery, they're going to have to go in there and break the bones and reattach them, and doesn't sound good, starting all over from square one with all this pain that I'm having and stuff, and we're going back to square one. But I mean, if he looked at my x-rays, whatever, he's a doctor, that's cool. So I go on about my business. I'm still trying to work because I can't not work. So I'm trying to do work that I can do. And I'm delivering things where I can get on a plane and fly back instead of having to hook up my hitches and tow my car and do all this one-handed, because it's almost impossible. So the 3rd of August rolls around. I think, well, 2 more days, I'm going to see the doctor, get this surgery out of the way. I can start healing, start working with my hand, get my use of my hand back. So they called and they say, hey, it's reminding you of your appointment on the 5th of August. And I was like, yeah, been waiting on it, hadn't forgot about it. It's kind of hard to forget. Sitting over here in pain, I'm worried about using my hand. Hey, I need to get this done. It's been a little bit, 3.5 weeks going on now. So, I'm starting to heal, and it's not good, I don't want to heal it wrong. So the lady's like, when you come in, bring a form of payment and your insurance card. So I tell her, I say, hey, I don't have insurance, and I told everybody this up front, So, but I mean, I've got a little money in the bank or whatever. I can pay a little bit, but like I'm going to have to make payments on this. She goes, well, we'll get you over to the billing department and they can work all that out. And I was like, oh, okay, well, cool. So they sent me over to them, and the lady starts informing me that the only payment plan they have, the best option they have, is 60% down, and then I can make payments on the other 40%. And the estimate's probably going to be somewhere around $12,000 or $14,000 down. And I'm like, well, lady, I don't have that much money, just laying around. Like, I wished I did. If you'd have called me 5 years ago when I was running my business, before I went through a divorce, something like that, I'd have probably just paid for the surgery. It'd been a different deal. I could have went and borrowed some money, put it on some credit cards, but I'm not in that position right now. But I mean, I'll make payments, but I don't have 60% down. And she's like, well, there's nothing we can do. That's the best deal we have. If you don't have that, then they're not gonna do anything for you. And I said, well, I guess I saved an office visit money today too, because I'm not going to pay for an office visit on Wednesday if you're not going to do anything for me. So I just went off in the sunset and decided that this is where I'm at. My hand's going to heal the way it heals, whether I get the use of it or not back. And I'm just on my own, and it's whatever. Because I've went to different hospitals, different doctors. Nobody's willing to do anything because I don't have the money and I don't have insurance. So that's where we're at. So I want to say, don't hear what I'm not saying, because I feel for the officer and the canine in this situation, but it kind of makes me think, here I am, a freaking human being, and I can't get treated, can't get healed, can't get fixed, can't try to get most of the use of my hand back, and don't even have any options. But the dog gets rushed to the hospital. Doctors are doing pro bono work on the dog. People from the community are coming out of the woodwork to donate money for medical bills and do all this to save the animal. The animal, it's an animal. Let's be real, it's an animal. But for a human, it's not the same. And, I grew up in kind of a bad situation, and I grew up not my mom, but somebody she was with was very abusive. And I got told every day, you get your ass whooped, you get your arm twisted, you got kind of abused, and you were told, you're worthless. You're not ever going to amount to nothing. You'll never amount to anything. You'll never be anything in your life. I'm going to run you the fuck off. You're just not even, basically you're just fucking subhuman, basically. Excuse my French. But that's kind of basically what I was told, and I tried not to ever believe that. And in my life, I worked hard, I did things, I always tried to hold a job. I've had my problems, I've had my sins, I've gotten the ditch and got back out. But, I always tried to be a good person and help people and do things for people. But I catch myself here now in life, looking around going, maybe he was on to something. Maybe there was some truth to what he was saying, like maybe I am nobody, and maybe I don't amount to nothing, and I'm not even worth as much as a dog is worth, And deep in my heart, I kind of know that's not true, but it's the thought that crosses my mind when I hear stories like that, and you're going through something, and you're trying to figure things out, and you're like, man, I don't have any options. I'm just kind of where I'm at. And, if I was a dog, if I was an animal that got hit by a car or something happened, people would run out of the woodwork to snap my bones back together and pin them and plate them and pay the bills and make sure that I was, put back together perfectly. But I'm not even worth what an animal's worth as a human being, and it just makes me think about, and then we won't even get into the politics of it. Our president's made $3.5 or $4.5 billion in the last year and a half, but him and all these Republicans are taking people's health subsidies away, and their subsidies to pay for their insurance, and there's people going through the same thing that I'm going through now. They don't have insurance. They can't afford it. They can't afford $2,000 a month premiums. But with the subsidies, they paid them $1,000, so they had to pay $1,000 a month for insurance instead of $2,000. But they're taking those away. And then, somebody like him Mitch McConnell, all these people in office, they don't hurt for health insurance. They get sick, they run down the hall. There's a doctor down there. Old boy's been in the hospital 2 or 3 months, if he's even still alive, Mitch McConnell, and don't even know if he's still even alive right now. People are asking for proof of life. He's been missing in action for 2 months because he fell and had a heart attack. So been in the hospital for 2 months on life support or whatever's going on, but it won't bankrupt him. He's fine. He'll be fine. But the people that are out here keeping the world turning, the regular people that work paycheck to paycheck, they'd get kicked down the street and go die, you know. And it's just pretty sad. It's pretty sad, the world that we live in, you know. It's just appalling to me, you know. But here I am. I'm still going along here. I'm driving down the road trying to make a dollar. You know, I'm going to start a new job on Monday, go back to a company driving a truck over the road, because I can do that with one hand in an automatic truck and figure out how to hook airlines and dolly a trailer and open the back doors and back into a dock. And my little business that I started, just let it fall by the wayside because, man, I need both hands to do that, you know. But that's where we're at. But if God would have made me a dog or some sort of animal instead of a human being, you know, I'd have a better chance to have, you know, humane treatment, I guess is what you'd call it. Humane treatment? I don't know that word, humane. But anyway, that's, you know, just my thoughts or my rants for today, you know, driving down the road here all by myself thinking about things, you know. That's my news from the road today. You know, it's like, it just kills me. I'm sitting there listening to that video about the dog and people coming out of the woodwork to save the canine. And I'm sitting here thinking, man, I got kicked out of the level 3 hospital. And nobody jumped up and said, man, I'm going to fix you. And I'll help you out. Or hell, I didn't ask them to do it for free. I would bill them $500, $600, $800 a month. You know, for $1,000, if I had that much extra, you know, I'd bill them what I could every month till I paid the bill. I didn't ask them to do anything for free, you know. But they wouldn't even do that. They wouldn't even take payments and fix me. I got kicked down the road by everybody I went to try to get help from. So it's just insane to me, you know. But that's my thoughts. But anyway, y'all have a good night. Be blessed. Be careful. Don't get hurt if you got insurance. Because if you do, you're screwed. God bless y'all. Love y'all.